This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, sometimes you just need a nice, easy, uneventful way to go into the new year, to go into 2026. And nothing is ever really particularly easy in the NBA, but a good win, a comfortable win, one that the Spurs needed to get, should have gotten, were the heavy favorites, and they come out on top tonight. Welcome into the Spurs POSTCAST right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in all of the land. He, of course, NBA champion Devin Brown. My name is Casey Viera. San Antonio tonight on the right side of things in Indy, taking care of the Pacers, 123-113 on the back of their guard trio. Every one of the big three in Fox, Castle, and Harper doing a little bit of something, my friend Devin, and that's the type of thing you like. Nothing overly crazy, but simple. You make the buckets when they count, and you open the first of a back-to-back on a high note.
Hey, listen, like you said, those three were tremendous tonight. Got the win. Everybody looked, healthy, Casey. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Yeah, so everybody left healthy. A couple of guys, as we know, did not arrive healthy. Victor Wembanyama actually didn't arrive at all. He didn't make the trip. The hyperextended knee, we knew that. Still questionable whether he's going to play in or back home in San Antonio against Portland. No Devin Vassell. We learned that there was an indefinite timetable on that adductor situation that the Spurs gave yesterday. Indiana, obviously, in the immediate sense, if you haven't been paying attention, Tyrese Halliburton's out. You knew that they were in the finals last year, but you might not have known that they're 6-28 entering the night, riding a 10-game losing streak. They've had all sorts of injuries. Long story short, this is not the Pacers team that we saw about 8 months ago, taking Oklahoma City to the wire, and it kind of showed in the first half. They got off to a good start, the Pacers did, but after they leveled out, a big second quarter from the Spurs, they go up 41-27. They outscore Indy 41-27, up 13 at the break, powered by Castle, who had 13, 4, and 5 at half, Harper with 12, De'Aaron Fox 11. Third quarter, they decide that they're going to get a little trigger happy, the Spurs, and they miss all 12 of their three-point attempts. But thankfully, they don't lose too much ground. Pacers get it down to 6. Ultimately, a 7-point game, making it an 8-point game going into the fourth quarter. But the fourth quarter, they do what they got to do. Some buckets from Harper. Pacers make it close. They get down to 115-107 with 2:29 left, but a big three from De'Aaron Fox puts it on ice, and Indy walks away. I should say Spurs walk away with another win, 25-9 on the season. Fox with 24, 7-4. Castle, 19, 8-8. Harper with 22 minutes on 9 of 15 shooting. In case you're curious at home, Julian Champagny, after that nuclear explosion that he had against the Knicks, kind of leveled off. 9 points, 2 of 13 from the field, 2 of 11 from 3. But it's a win above all else. And like I said, Devin, it's wasn't anything overly glamorous,
Right?
But simple. You do things the right way, and you get out with a dub.
Hey, it's one of my favorite things, Casey. We talk about it, in basketball, one of those cold games. And when you're in high school, you play them all the time, and you're going to be recruited. Well, if you go to this Spurs Indiana game trying to, see what it is that's going on, it was some weird basketball, Casey, to say the least. But listen, the Spurs went in there, they took care of business, did what they were supposed to do. Like you said, hey, go in there. Indiana's going to play hard. You got to, deal with their furies. That's what San Antonio was able to do. Harper and Castle and Fox were tremendous. You sit there and watch De'Aaron playing, and for those of you who don't play a lot of 2K, that off arm, that's R1 on your joystick. He had that going tonight a lot. But it was great. Just they did what they needed to do to win this basketball, Casey, and that's about all I got. But those three were tremendous tonight.
Yeah, you win the games you're supposed to, right? And above all else, you stack these wins, so it's you have a little bit more leeway, breathing room when you lose the games you're not particularly favored in. But you built the cushion because you take care of business in things like this, in situations like such. Shots were there to be had. Opportunities were there to be had. That's something I like. And they took advantage of it, of course, with Victor out and Devin Vassell obviously out as well. It was Champagny who took advantage of it. last time out against the Knicks, and tonight a little bit of everybody doing their part. The guards are kind of what's going to get the headlines of how well they performed, but really the X factor tonight, if you will, was the guy who might be the front runner for sixth man of the year right now.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under the radar impact with today's X factor.
So Kelvin Johnson in the fourth quarter, mind you, like I mentioned, the Spurs missed all 12 of their three-point attempts in the third quarter of play. So Indy has it back within single digits, back within 8. KJ responds with the first 7 points of the fourth quarter, which balloons that lead back up to 13. Ended up hitting another 3 on top of that. He had 10, finished with 16 points and 6 rebounds off the bench in another night's work for Kelvin Johnson. I think it's you see the job that he's been doing, and you were talking the other day when we got together on the squad show about giving him more minutes. And what I think what's really been fascinating about Kelvin this year, and really I guess 2 years now, it's not that as much as he's settled into his role, because I mean I think we learned through his time here that he's pretty adaptable whatever which way. It's not only settling in, it's settling in and taking off. I don't have the Vegas numbers in front of me, but I would imagine in a wide open sixth man race, he's going to be right there at top of it. And just, again, you see things like tonight, a testament to what he's done. He continues to do, and he did it again. And he helped when the Pacers put a little bit of momentum, got a little bit of a flurry there to start the fourth quarter of play. Back end of the third, he was the answer, bought some breathing room before Fox and company could put it away in the back half of the frame.
Hey, listen, everybody, in San Antonio, and rightfully so, when Wemby goes down, nobody can move. Everybody stays still. Well, for me, you love to have a guy like Wemby on your team, but for me, Keldon, when he got hurt in that second quarter, I couldn't move, Casey. I couldn't move because of what he brings to this San Antonio ball club. His energy, his passion, and the thing about him is he gets around San Antonio. So he has the heartbeat of what it is to mean to put that San Antonio Spurs uniform on. So to see him go down, come back a few minutes later was huge because he was huge in the fourth quarter, like you said. As a team, they were 0-12 in that third quarter. No one could find anything. KJ rattles one in off of a missed free throw. His own missed free throw, gets the rebound, rattles it in, and then he was able to proceed to hit 2 more huge threes, which kind of opened the game. Indiana kept being right there, but it's Keldon's energy, and let me tell you something. He doesn't complain. I feel like he should be playing more. If not with Devin out, I don't see why you don't start him. My whole thing with coaches is rewarding guys that have been helping all year. But I won't get into that. That's for another time. But he did great tonight, and it was good to see him finish the game, and he deserved it. And Keldon was strong tonight, Casey.
Yeah, up until De'Aaron's the 3 I mentioned, De'Aaron Fox hit with about 2.5 to go, that essentially put it away. Keldon was the only one who had made a 3 in the second half. Collectively as a whole, the Spurs did not shoot great tonight. 44% from the field you live with, but only 13 of 46 from deep. You take it, whatever. But they took care of business. Points in the paint, they had 60. The bench, they had 57 points. They won the rebounding battle, 49-40. So, you continue to get the wins. You stack the wins. They're now 15-1 versus sub 500 teams and 11-2 against the Eastern Conference. Go ahead.
And what's important is Denver is in a battle with Cleveland. It seems like they're going to lose that game. You stay in front of them with Wemby out and Devin out. So you still have, you know what I'm saying? You still have that game or game and a half, whatever it is.
And Jonas Valanciunas is out too. So just another casualty that Denver has just been going through. We'll see. I mean, this is a type of thing where if the Spurs, there's ever any time for them to further the gap right now, is when you have a team that's reeling behind you, that's right there in the thick of things for that 2 seed, and they're all banged up, and you're out there and you're winning games you're supposed to win, then hey, you won't complain about it. They're not going to complain about that tonight, following a 123-113 victory over the Indiana Pacers. Believe it or not, Devin Brown does have some things to maybe not complain about, but quarrels, if you were. And it's about Mitch Johnson, the guy who was named December's Coach of the Month. So coming up on the other side, we're going to talk about maybe some slight things that got Devin going and look a little bit ahead to the Portland game that's on deck Saturday in the tail end of the back-to-back following the Spurs victory tonight in Indianapolis. But before we get there, let's have a conversation about our friends over there at FanDuel. Yeah, Fridays, as we know, like tonight, always feel better during basketball season. And FanDuel, they're making every Friday night even better. You might already be on top of this. And if you are, it's good because FanDuel, they're giving fans a new way to kick off the weekend with what they're calling NBA Happy Hour. What is it? Well, it's your official pregame, a limited window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app right before the action starts, before the evening gets going. So Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, they've become appointment viewing because of this, because whenever you check in, Happy Hour's got something new for you and a chance for you to win and win big. Boosts, bonuses, surprises, everything that's going to, make watching the game that much more fun. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. I hope you already checked in tonight and you did pretty well if you took any on the Spurs side of things. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy with NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 123-113 is what the final numbers read in favor of your San Antonio Spurs as they move to 25-9 on the season and back to the Alamo City Saturday night to take on the Portland Trailblazers. They have 4 back-to-backs in the month of January to start January. The Spurs do. So quite the way to bring in what's already been a very unique schedule, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. Let's talk about Mitch Johnson a little bit because I know you texted me early in the fourth quarter, I believe, and you were not of particularly thrilled about the rotations that perhaps might have got Indy back into the game a little bit. And it seems like something that's been good with that Mitch Johnson has been doing well up to this point. And part of the reason they played well in December was that he does a reasonable job of finding hot hands. Tonight, in your mind, he didn't ride that.
No, he didn't. So, here's my thing. I've done both in the NBA. Come off the bench, start, things like that. When you're dealing with players, NBA players like routines. So if I'm going to go in the first quarter at 8 minutes or 7 minutes, I'm going to start preparing my body, my mind, because I know that that's when I'm going to go in. Sometimes I don't see that. I just see these random things happening with Mitch, and it almost bit him tonight because there was a couple of lineups, Lindy Waters being a part of him, Keldon being a part of it, Kelly Olynyk at times. When the Spurs would go on these runs, they're about to blow it open. You look up, and there's like 2 or 3 substitutes, coming back in. He's going in with this guy, going in with this guy. Now, I've said before with this basketball team, you can play anybody and things like that. But when you're in a game like this, where Indiana kept hitting threes with, the Huff and the Puff and all these other guys they had on their team, I didn't get it because there was a couple of times they cut it to, 10 to 8 to 6. And I'm sitting here going, what is Mitch doing? Hey, don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Just, hey, just do Spurs stuff. Don't get out there trying to be your own. I get all that, but tonight we didn't need all that. Keldon had it going. Lindy Waters, he had 2 or 3 threes. Casey, 2 or 3. Leave him out there. Yeah, leave him out there and just go with the lineups that work. That's all I had to say, Casey.
I know that's something that's been in the losses at least last week, and I guess to a certain extent in the Knicks game before things turn. The timeouts or lack thereof, that's been the type of thing that's been driving Spurs fans nuts because he gives, I guess it's a good and a bad thing because it shows his confidence in his guys. But perhaps not the best time to have confidence in your guys to go out there and try and figure it out along the way when the deficit is either widening or the margin that you're on top of is shrinking at a rapid rate, like it was doing tonight when the Pacers cut 19 down to 6 towards the back end of the third quarter. But I think, like, is that the type of thing that it's, in my mind, it's a confidence thing that you're showing in your guys on the floor, and maybe perhaps it's still a young bunch, so you're still very wary of it, at least from the outside looking in. But I guess on the other side of the coin, they're only going to get through it, and they're only going to be, they'll find better ways to do it, to navigate that in the future. They're not going to get that without being thrown in the fire in that spot, right? So I mean, to a certain extent, for Mitch, it's like, all right, well, you're going to have to do this if we're going to be playing important basketball come April. So if it falls apart, let's fall apart against the Pacers in January.
Yeah, you just said it right there. You'd rather see that happen tonight, not in a important game later on in the year. And I tell you what, at the pace that they're going right now, they're going to have some important games, not only coming up, but when we start moving towards the big season. Mm-hmm. So I was a little concerned with the possessions down the stretch, not milking the clock, things like that, Casey. All these things are going to pop up. These are all things that Mitch has got to get corrected with these younger guys, like you're saying, before we get into April.
There's still a lot of times where it feels like they're lacking discipline and they get bit by it.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe that's youth. That's probably youth. But like you said, it's bows that got to be tied, I's dotted, T's crossed. And I guess, figuring that out against a 6-win Pacers team, and even if it goes wrong, whatever, you learn now instead of when you do in April. And it kind of is what it is. But now they turn their focus to a team that's right there in the play-in hunt, technically, tomorrow, Saturday, back home at the Frostbank Center. Portland Trail Blazers come into town. Right now, sitting in that 10 seed currently. 10 seed. 14-20 on the season. Spurs got the better of them in cup play, in group stage play, in their place about a month back. Of course, Thiago Splitter, former Spur, has things going in a reasonable direction over there. With this, when you play the tail end of a back-to-back like this, and how quickly do I guess kind of messages resonate a little bit, if that makes any sense? When you, and maybe it's a bad example tonight because largely they walked away with the win. It wasn't overly consequential, but how long does it take to really kind of have that sink in, if that makes any sense? The point when you go from night 1 to night 2 back to back, do you think it's like one of those things, like if the night doesn't turn out well, that you almost just want to get back out there right away just to erase the night before?
Yeah, well, like you said, it depends on what happens. Like if Indiana comes back and wins this game tonight, yes, that's going to be a tough plane ride, back. But they were able to get the win. And the biggest thing is your opponent that's going to be here waiting on you in Portland. And Portland's been playing better since that cup game. All right. And then they have my guy, he's got the Kobe's on. Ayala.
Oh, Denny Avdia.
Hey, he's good. He is a really good basketball player.
Yeah.
So, you're going to have to match his energy and you're going to have to guard that guy. But I'll tell you what, the biggest thing is you got the first win of the back-to-back. Now you just got to make sure that, I don't know what kind of weather they're dealing with in Indiana, but I'll tell you this, Casey, we were stuck for 2 hours one time de-icing. And I know that the people at the airport were Pacers fans, so I know they were behind it, but hopefully they'll be able to get out of there and get back here and get their rest.
I feel like that's a very underrated aspect, or not talked about aspect of playing road games, visiting a Midwest city in January and February and March, when you're going on some of these tight road trips, and just like practical things that the everyday person experiences, like that front, like de-icing on the plane, but how much something like that can have a trickle down or a wrinkle,
Hey,
if that
whether
was the case.
you're going or coming, because when I played with Cleveland, we always get into town, and this little inside information for everybody. Whenever we get to a town, it's always 5:30. All right, you're dealing with traffic. No, you're dealing with everybody's traffic, whether you're in Washington, LA, whatever. Hey, let me tell you this: we were leaving Cleveland. That plane was de-icing for 3 hours. We were going to Miami. Imagine that, Casey. Yeah. There was the guy who wore 23 that year. I wore 33. 23 that year was not happy about that.
LeBron, for those people who are not following at home.
Yeah, LeBron, not Devin.
Yeah, not Devin. They didn't care if Devin got mad. That didn't bother him. Hey, not someone who has probably the clout of LeBron James, but at least trending the right direction, our player of the game tonight.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
22 points off the bench for Dylan Harper. Actually, very subtly kind of been, I don't want to say swept under the rug, because that sounds too suspect, but 5 of his last 7 games hadn't cracked double-digit points. So tonight, good bounce back, 22 points. One of the 3 Spurs trio, or part of the trio of guards that helps in getting the things done.
Well, his dad played with Chicago and Cleveland, so he must have not made the trip to Indiana because that young man had it going tonight. Congratulations to him. Inside out. He's starting to take that 3 with a lot more confidence. Spurs fans, look at this. If he starts knocking that down, you got another all-star to put with the other all-stars. So congratulations to him. He had it going. Hey, get your rest. Gonna need you tomorrow for Portland.
Yeah, we'll find out what the Spurs are looking like from a health standpoint. We're operating under the assumption no Devin Vassell because the Spurs, when they made the announcement about the adductor situation, they said we'll give updates when available. That is very ambiguous way of interpreting things. So who knows what that is? And with Victor, same type of situation, not really going off anything more than what he said the other day, was that he was, still felt okay, a little bit sore, wasn't going to make the trip to Indy. And now we wait for Saturday. So we'll wait for Saturday, and maybe Victor will be there. Maybe he'll not. One thing I do know is that Devin Brown and I will be there. Well, not at the game, but we'll be here with you on the Spurs postcast on Locked On Spurs once things with the Trailblazers go final over there at the Frost Bank Center. Good night tonight for San Antonio Silver and Black, a 123-113 victory right here on Locked On Spurs. And before we get out of here, as we always do, we show love to you guys for hanging out with us, the everydayers. You make it all possible. You make it all fun. These Spurs postcasts, the title pod with Jeff Garcia during the week, and of course the Spurs Squad Show every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Locked On Spurs. So for my dear friend, Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. Good night for San Antonio's Silver and Black, taking care of business in Indy. Talk to you tomorrow.